Here we go. Hey guys. So this is the first episode of Drunk Entrepreneurs. I am drunk. I'm now continuing to drink this $8 wine. So let's see what happens. Okay, let me figure out first how to screen record this thing. I don't know how to do that. I feel like I should have had a tech run before I did this.
Maybe.
So I'm just gonna screen grab my screen. Okay, so this episode is going to be about how to come up with content ideas. I'm going to attempt to share my insights with you after about 6 drinks that I've had tonight. I mean, the main struggle I'm having right now is just speaking in a coherent way.
Loser.
Relax, I can edit all of this out. Alright, so sometimes we get writer's block, right? Like, you're trying to write some article, your head of marketing has given you an assignment, you've got some type of content that you need to put together, but you get writer's block. And what is writer's block, really? Well, let's take a look at what Google has to say. Let's type in writer's block and see what comes up. Now, as defined by Google, writer's block is a condition primarily associated with writing in which an author loses the ability to produce new work or experiences a creative slow down. Well, that sounds terrible. So let's try to avoid doing that. To be honest, like, coming up with content ideas and producing content, whether you have your own blog or if you're producing content for your company's blog, it's difficult to do, especially when it comes to creating content that also has SEO benefits. So I'm going to show you, or attempt to show you, my process for going through the content ideation thing that you do. I'm not sober, guys, at all. I never thought that it would be so difficult to actually like film something under the influence of alcohol, but I don't even know if I'm going to be able to share anything with you. But my main process, so this is my Google Drive. So the first thing you want to do, or first thing I do, is I start by going to Google's keyword planner. Now, I believe that if you're going to be writing any type of content, it should have some SEO benefit. Otherwise, why are you writing content, right? You might as well be journaling. But if you're actually going to be writing content for your blog, it should have some SEO value as well. Clearly, I can't type because I've typed in keyword into Google rather than keyword planner. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your keyword planner. So there are various areas or various categories that you can write content for, and I'm going to use the example of Venngage. So with Venngage, we have various categories that we have content written on. That might be design, marketing, infographics specifically as a niche. So let's assume that we're writing about design in this case. But before I get into that, I'm going to take a sip of this $8 wine that I purchased from the wine rack. It's very sweet. Okay, so let's say that we're searching for design-related topics, right? So what are some design topics that Venngage might write about? We might write about fonts, so like typography. We might write about color schemes, layouts. Let's say I'm starting to search for typography. The first struggle is to actually type typography because it's a harder word than you think it might be. Alright, so now I've identified that typography, according to Google Keyword Planner, is of relatively low competition. It's got a pretty good search volume. So I have some idea of what I might be writing about here. Now, what I typically do after this is I'll create a spreadsheet, and I'll show you what my spreadsheet looks like. I'm trying really hard not to burp right now. So here's what my content strategy, I call this my content organization system. And this is where I will put keywords based on a major category And then you keep drilling down into each of those categories to create subcategories, and within those subcategories, which you can then create very long tail content for. And this is one of the best strategies that I have for coming up with better ideas. And I try to base all of this off of keyword research, because if you can at least create content that's based off of what other people are searching for, you have a better chance of ranking for that content, so there's more purpose to what you're doing. Now, if I want to create a general article on the topic of typography, I might be able to create something called What is Typography, or the 60 Best Typography Guides. So these are some examples, but there are various types of content you create. There's editorial content, there's customer-centric content. They all have different purposes and different value when it comes to what your goals are. So whether you're trying to build organic traffic and use your content as an acquisition channel, or if you're trying to use content as a conversion channel, there's various ways that you can create content. So now we've got this as a general category, but if we're going to break that down into subcategories, some of those subcategories might be specific to fonts, right? So we've got serif fonts as a keyword, sans serif fonts, typography fonts, font style, handwriting fonts, cool fonts, different fonts, all of these other subcategories that fall into the general realm of typography. And maybe if you go further down, you can see even more specific articles. So now we've got the best sans serif fonts, and this is typical or just specific to sans serif fonts. So we've got the best sans serif fonts for a wide. Who wrote this? Were they drunk when they wrote this suggestion? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what that means. So by using this process, you can actually create content that has a high search volume potential, so it has SEO potential, and you can actually rank for these keywords. And then you have a whole list of content that you can keep coming back to, and you've got yourself a little calendar of everything based on like a major category, from typography to subcategories like serif fonts to even lower subcategories like best serif fonts to use. And these are all keywords that you're using to kind of guide the content you're creating. So what your goal is you're trying to create thematically relevant content. That means that you have a better chance of ranking organically. And organic rankings are good because it means that people are searching for your content and they're just going to come directly to your site. And that means that there's less work for you to do. And when it comes to actually getting those rankings and appearing in the search engine results page, that's another story. But I'm way too drunk right now to actually go into too much detail about that, so it's probably going to have to be another video. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I don't know if I was supposed to talk about anything else. So stay tuned for the next episode, because the next one I'm going to be doing something else. But recap of what we learned today is use keywords and SEO as a guiding factor for the content that you write, because ultimately your goal with content is to get inbound traffic and acquire users from the search engine results page. And when you're creating your content, try to format it in a way where you're actually structuring it so that the keywords become prevalent to what you're writing. But don't just keyword stuff your content. Actually write good quality content that is relevant to your audience, but that also stands out from all of the other content that's already ranking. And ultimately your goal is to create better content overall. I really hope this made sense. Where's my glass? Alright, peace out, guys.